think there you go. Comments. I don't hear there's a voice right now. And hello, good morning, everyone. All right. We are MoB Kaffeeklatsch episode 135. Good morning, Chris Mendoza. Morning, Mary Beth. Good morning, Janelle. Good morning, Jasmine. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Wendy. Good morning, Audrey. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. Am I coming in pixelated or blurry or, my voice garbled or anything? Wearing my Creative Warrior shirt. Please extend a good morning to Stacy. Hello, Stacy. Excellent. I can always bring the mic a little closer into my face. Mic. Better. It's even closer. Should pick it up and thank you. I think this is a good one. I think this font, I don't remember the name of the font, but I think it's the Game of Thrones font. Yeah, I haven't worn. This is the first time wearing it. Awesome. Hello, Michelle. Good morning, and welcome to the Kaffeeklatsch. Aaron, good morning. Sound like people. I like your giggles. Coming in clear. Excellent. All right, let's get started because there was 14 of us here, and I like to start as soon as we have like 12, 13, 10, 12, depending, So let's get started. Today, we don't have, I'm going to shout out everyone, because, everyone on YouTube I'm surprised Connie's not here. I don't see Connie. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Yeah, I collected, I had thousands of fonts because of the graphic design. Hello, everyone on YouTube. You can find us on @BenPeaches Publishing. We have the overall umbrella, which is @BenPeaches Publishing. That's the channel. Then we have our Kaffeeklatsch episodes there, and we also have the CWWs, which we're up to, I want to say 97. I'm pretty sure up to episode 97 on the CWWs. Let's see. Yeah. Good morning, Jim. Welcome. Had a plague on my house for the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry you were ill. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling much better, though, which is great. On Instagram, I want to get on Instagram, but writing saints and monks and first gospel and saints and monks. I think there's always going to be something in writing, so I have to make a concerted effort, dedicate a day to doing Instagram stuff. Oh, there's a link. I should put it up because it's a link for Beaches Publishing. Show. Okay, so it's not too laggy. It's a little laggy, but not too laggy. You're not connected to the line. Oh, I didn't click it. Okay, how about we do that? See if we can do it. Jeez. It's acting laggy today. Okay, there it is. Dawn, good morning. I think it's the greatest thing that you have this little group of people who are discussing your book, your reader group, who are discussing Montague Strong. Let's discuss even more because I'd love to do something for the group because it sounds so much fun. And your questions are so great. Who comes up with the questions, Don? That's right. That's one of my favorite fonts. Yeah, it's a great. This is a good font. I like this font. I like the O because come on, O is like the best letter in the alphabet. I'm just saying. Just putting it out there. We also have our Instagram, so I'm gonna take down the Bitten Peaches and put up the Instagram. You can find us on Instagram @Bitten Peaches. If StreamYard operates today, it's acting a little tired today. StreamYard, it's acting like the way I feel early in the morning. It's a little sluggish, but it's there. It's working little by little. Yeah, and so on Instagram, let's see. I have been doing my Instagram, and today was the first day I was able to get back into training. So I was up at 4, which is great, and I got to do the bells and and the rowing. I'm down to, I did only 2K today because I didn't want to do 5K. I don't want to push the knees, you know. But I managed to do 2K and swing the bells with the ABC, which is the armor building complex, if you know, and that felt really good. So I'm slowly easing back into it. You know? Good morning, Jennifer. Yeah, and it has been a little slow. Yes, at least our way too. It's been a little slow. Thanks for switching over to the tube, Wendy. Nice. We also have swag at Zazzle, our M&S store. So it's EMANDES. I don't know why I always say that, but by now you guys should know M&S. What the M&S stands for, Emandes. So one of the Valkyries, the youngest, calls it Emandes. And I tell her, no, it's M&S. And she goes, oh, M&S. So there you go. For Patreon, I want to thank all of you, all of the patrons, because you guys are amazing. Let me take this off because it's distracting. So for Patreon, we have a new patron, Stuart J. Stupple, I want to say. And I want to thank all of the patrons, all of the new patrons, and all the current patrons. You guys are amazing, and you go above and beyond to support what we're doing here. So thank you so much for supporting and helping me get these books out and living this adventure of being a writer and an author. Here we have another Zazzle link. Let's put it up. You guys are like battling links. It's awesome. I see one link, then I see the other link. Aaron says, up at 4. What a slacker. I've been up since 1:34, but that's, oh yeah, I was up at 3, and it's like, I'm not going to start training at 3 in the morning today because usually I end up crashing around now, so we wouldn't have a show. So no, but 4 is doable because 4 I do everything I gotta do. Then I go for the school run, and I take the Valkyries to school, and then I come back, find the parking because it's New York City. You gotta find parking, and then I can start doing other things. So it's great. So 4 is good. All these links will be up in the MoB, you know. So I'm gonna take this off here. And this is our Patreon link. If you haven't, so not only are they in the MoB, but they're in the back of each book. Is this all in the back of the book, right? Yeah, all these links are in the back of each book, each ebook. So yeah, Facebook has been acting a little funky too. So all these interfaces have been kind of acting strange or acting slightly off. But you know, we make it work. We make it happen. We don't have any new authors to promo unless you guys know of an author that just released a book and would like to share the link with us. Indie author doesn't matter, but we really do support our indie authors. So if you have one, please share it. If you can't share it here, then please share it in the MoB. You know, do an L3 and share it. And yeah, I mean, the only author I know right now currently is this guy Orlando who just dropped a book called Dusk Later. But let's discuss that because we can talk about. Hopefully, everyone has read it. It hasn't been out for long, so but we can discuss it. Let me see how long Dusk Later's been out. Yeah, so many things in my head that I forget. January 12th, so Sunday, Monday, around there. Yeah, you know, I think January. We realize that it's a seasonal thing. In January, February usually is quiet. But December, the end of December because of the holiday, the beginning of January because of the holiday, and then it starts to pick up again in Feb. But usually until the end of Feb, it's like the season. So like winter's coming. That winter for authors usually has a tendency to be really quiet for some reason. Aaron says, I didn't realize you were in the city. What borough are you in? I'm in Queens. Oh, your wife was from Brooklyn? Yeah. I have lived in every borough in the city except for Staten Island. So I didn't want to be on an island. I was already, you know, I prefer to be on land, like not surrounded by water. So I have to get off the island I can and not have to worry about crossing the Verrazano, which is a huge bridge. But it's only like one way to get off, or the ferry, which is one of the slowest boats. I mean, it is a ferry, it's not the speedboat, but still, I didn't like the idea not being able to get off the island immediately. Whereas if I need to evacuate Manhattan, let's say there's several bridges and tunnels on the subway, so there are escape routes. It's just my brain. That's the way it is. Good morning, Suma. Welcome. And actually, I had an opportunity to live in Jersey long ago, and I didn't take it because of the traffic. Because Jersey is just nightmarish. I used to work in Jersey a long time ago, but the great thing about working in Jersey, as opposed to working in Manhattan, is I would go in against the flow. So I would go in the morning, and there would be no traffic because everybody's leaving Jersey, and then I would leave in the afternoon, and there would be no traffic because everyone's coming into Jersey. So it was great. It was fantastic. That I really appreciate it. Let's see. Wendy's saying, I recently found this in the author more of a cozy paranormal, but so much fun that hard to become. Hey, but put the L3 in the mob, Wendy, because I'm sure there are other people who would love to read this. So please do. Please share. Every time you find an author that you enjoy, please put it with the L3, and then put the book and the title and the author in the mob, and so other people can find it also. Heather, I still have to finish Dust Bader, but the peanut gallery. Yeah, take your time, Heather. If you've been ill, then your brain's gonna be a little slow, and just take it easy. It'll come back. Mary Beth says Dust Bader, the new favorite offshoot. Moira, my replace next year. My effects. Thank you. I don't know. There's a strong Nixia coalition, so I'd be careful saying things like that out loud. I noticed on a motorcycle trip that you can get into Jersey for free, but you have to pay. Yeah, it's like Hotel California, Jersey. You can check in and you can check out anytime you love, but you can never leave without paying. That is right. So Jersey lets you go in for free. This is true. And speaking of tolls, we just added one to the Queensboro Bridge in Manhattan. So the Queensboro Bridge goes from Queens to Manhattan, and it just added a toll. So it's this whole congestion pricing thing. Don't get me started. Dolly has heard enough of me rant and rave about it. I'm not happy, but it is what it is. You make it. You adapt. It's basically it. If you like reading the book, others in the mob will enjoy it. Yeah, we all seem to be similar in the mob in terms of our reading tastes. So if you like reading it, there's a good chance at least one other person will enjoy reading it. So please share it in the mob. I try to share, like right now I'm reading Genevieve something. I keep forgetting her last name. The Invisible Library author, Genevieve something. Can you find who wrote The Invisible Library? Genevieve, I want to say Donovan, something. Really good story. I think you'll enjoy it. Huh? Cogman. Genevieve Cogman. The Invisible Library. Yeah. Aaron says he got married at the church. She was baptized it was 150 years old. Our reception was out on the shore where we lived in Point Pleasant. Nice. That's a nice tradition. And the fact that you were able to get married there, that's fantastic. That's really nice. That's a great kind of, I used to go to the shore all the time when I was really younger, because I had friends who lived out there, and I was able to just go out there and hang out by the shore. Every summer we go out the shore. Let's see. Yeah, what's the shore? Most people who don't live in Jersey or New York aren't very familiar with the shore. Like, let's go to the shore. The shore? Which shore? What shore? Where? So if you don't really know Jersey, you don't really know the Jersey Shore. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry to hear about that, Aaron. But I'm glad you were there for 17 years. It's a long time. So I'm really glad you were able to have that time. Yeah. So the longest bike trip I took, Chris, was up to Bear Mountain. That was a long bike trip. I did it as a group. We did it with a group of friends, kind of on a whim. It was a long bike trip. It's crazy. So, but the shore was always fun, and the shore was always great, and it had a good beach. In the summer, it was a great kind of destination to go to because of the beach. Not so much anymore. I think it changed radically about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But it was really good when I was like much when I was less young. Yeah. And I was driving always. It was a good drive, yeah. For us now, we have the Lighthouse Beach, which is on Fire Island. It's similar to what the shore was way back in the day, and that's a good. I want to say what 2 hours to Fire Island. About 2 hours. It's about 2 hours to get to Fire Island. It was amazing. It's still an amazing beach. In terms of when you get there, you're one of maybe 10, 15, 20 people on the entire beach. Like you're the first person, you're here, and the next person is in the distance. So you don't really have that many people on the beach with you, which is great. But there are no lifeguards, so you have to be careful. You're taking little ones. Yeah. Oh, welcome, Connie. You're not late. You're here. You're right on time. I didn't go to any of the beaches after the hurricanes. I had done that way in the past. We had hurricanes, and the dunes would be gone. It would look like a wasteland. It was crazy, and yeah, it was amazing to see the devastation because the beach is right there it's the ocean, and when a hurricane would come in, it would wipe away the beach. It was insane. At one point, one beach had to be it was kind of recreated. They just brought sand in and made the beach again because of the erosion and the hurricane wiped out a whole beach. I don't remember which. It wasn't Sandy, although Sandy did wipe out the beach and the shore. But it was one of the hurricanes when I was much younger. It just took away the beach. It was crazy. Aaron says, when I was single, I used to bike from Tom's River to Atlantic. That's a nice ride. Atlantic City never called to me. Like I was never a big gambler anyway. So, but I know for the novelty of the casinos, people would go. I remember from New York, buses would get filled with people to go for the weekend to go to Atlantic City to go gambling and hang out and kind of just make a weekend of the trip. And it was very big back in the day. I don't know, Chris, is Atlantic City still viable? Is it still like up? I'm talking 20 some odd years ago. But Atlantic City used to be a hot spot. I don't know if it is anymore. The best part of a motorcycle was go riding had to yeah. Well, it's either that or you were losing your passenger if she didn't hang on, you know. Here in San Diego, it's which beach? I don't know. I've never been to San Diego. Who are we talking to, Ann? Because I've never been to. Is anyone from San Diego could tell Ann which beach? So, um, yeah, I don't know. Atlantic City kind of really went downhill after a while. It just kind of became like a ghost town. The casinos left, or they went out. They kind of went out of business, and then they just kind of disappeared, and no one really redeveloped Atlantic City. So when I was really young, Atlantic City used to be a tourist spot. It was big. There were big casinos, and every weekend people would arrange trips to go there to gamble and to hang out. And things like that. I don't know now. I haven't kept up with Atlantic City. Probably some developer will go in and kind of just reclaim all the old casinos that are still standing, knock them down, and redevelop. Well, yeah, Atlantic City was the same thing like Las Vegas when you think about it. Just it was on the East Coast. The only thing I think that really helped Las Vegas over Atlantic City was the weather because Las Vegas is in the desert. So all they needed was a way to bring water into the casinos, and that's what they did. But in Atlantic City, the winter killed the traffic in Atlantic City. Nobody went anywhere in Atlantic City in the winter. In the summer, yeah, but not in the winter. Um, yeah, I guess we need to say something about the fires in the mob at some point because they've been going on for so long. I just hope everybody who's in LA. I have a few friends that are in LA, and I've already reached out to them. But I hope everyone who's in LA or in California is staying safe because those fires, the winds, the combination between the fire and the winds, like it's incredible. What's happening, the devastation is just horrific. So if you're on the West Coast, be safe. Stay away from the LA area if you can, and just if you have people out there, just be safe. You know. You live by Myrtle Beach. Okay, I'm gonna be dating myself, or I guess I forget what state Myrtle Beach is in. Where's Myrtle Beach again? I know I used to know this. I'm beginning to lose the information. It is catastrophic. These fires, if you look at the pictures, not of the fires, but of the aftermath of the fires, there's nothing left. If you ever seen a movie where it's dystopian and there was a war and it was a nuclear war and everything was blasted to nothingness, that's what LA is looking like right now. It's really really bad, catastrophic. South Carolina, yes, Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina. Thank you, thank you. It took me a while, and you guys that hint helps a lot. So yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the Santa Ana winds. A lot of people don't know that the winds are 100-mile-an-hour gusts. Like there are people who are saying you should just fly a helicopter up there. In 100-mile gusts, you're not flying anything anywhere. It's even those. I was watching a report. Even these planes that go into the ocean and pick up water and drop it on the fires, even they have to be careful because of the winds are just so strong. 100-mile-an-hour gusts, 100 knots. Sorry, is basically unflyable. You're not flying anything in 100 knots because it's just too strong. Doesn't matter what you're flying. It's like a toy in those winds. You'll have crashes. So now you're putting pilots in danger. We're trying to help people with putting out the fires. It's insane. And then the updrafts, it, the fire just messes with the weather, and so it's dangerous to fly in that, and that's why you don't see many planes, these water planes. I saw reporting on the water planes just, and these were from I think Mexico or Canada. They were just scooping up water and then heading back to LA, scooping up water, going to the ocean, scooping up water and heading to LA. But you have to. These are small windows when you can do that, you know. And fire is no joke. That's the one thing you can't. It's not like a hurricane where you say, I'm going to tough it out. If it's a fire, you need to get out. So, if you have people in LA, make sure they're not in the path of this fire. And it's still going on, which is crazy. It's not hasn't stopped. Another fire cropped up, and it's still ongoing. So let's segue over. Um, What were your thoughts on Dust Blader? Those of you, I think we can share. I think by now everyone has read it because it's been out for a week or so. Not even. Yeah, about a week. Almost, yeah, a week. It's been actually a week. Yeah, the pilots are fantastic. These guys who do this is like the ones who fly into hurricanes. It's insane. You have to be uh, a really good pilot. Like the ones who fly into the eye, it's crazy. They are excellent and brave, heroic pilots that do this. I've already told Dolly I would never get into a helicopter because, and I'll give you my reasoning. You um, helicopters are just basically bricks in the air with propellers attached to them. They don't glide well. So if one of your rotors goes out, let's say the rotor in the back, which controls your left to right, the pitch and the yaw, or if the main rotor goes out, you're dropping like a rock. This is why I don't do helicopters. Let's see. The Santa Ana's are able to go except, but yeah, the Hurricane Chaser can't. Oh, okay. Yeah, Out and Demo were fun. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, so if you're 75% done, I'm not going to go into the end part of the book. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It was one of those stories that I had to write that made it. Okay, how do I explain? I think I explained it in the back of Dust Blader, so I won't go into it there. But it was one of these. Oh, it was like Monty and Strong, right? Where I'm writing sepia blue, and Monty Strong decide to walk in and say, "You need to write us now." And I'm like, "No. I'm writing a series. You two sit down, take your dog with you, and I'll get to you when I get to you." And they were like, "Oh, really? Hold on a second. Hold my tea," Monty said. And it was like, "No, you're going to write us now." I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was like nonstop harassing and nonstop. Um, let's see. It's rare that a male author can write really believable characters. I was raised by Valkyries. I'm good. I'm good in that. I have first-hand knowledge. My sister's insane. I'm married to a Valkyrie, so I have Valkyries all around. So I can just look at the people around me. My girls are, how would I put this? Because I eventually don't watch this. They have a really strong characters, my girls. So if they want something, they want something. And so really strong. They have very strong wills, put it that way. And so I'm surrounded by a lot of women, and so I kind of have character references all over the place. That informs my writing of female characters. Plus, female characters, we should really discuss this in author groups. Female characters are not just male characters that are female. Female characters are very distinct and unique to the male characters. It's not just writing a male character and making it a female. It does take a lot of nuance to write a female. And I don't write damsels in distress. I never have. I never will. And so it goes against my writing ethos to write damsels in distress. I'm glad you were able to get it, Aaron. Excellent. Wendy asks, can Dolly's eyes glow like that when she's truly angry? I don't think I've seen Dolly that angry. Her eyes can glow. Welcome, Paige. Do your eyes glow when you're truly angry, maybe? No, but she does have a baleful glare. Don't worry, the kids have seen it. Chris says, I saw a big discussion about male writers not being able to write females in the UF. I don't think it's impossible, but I do think you can't transpose a male and a female. You can't, it doesn't work that way. Very different characters, very different characteristics, very different sensibilities. Welcome, Joe. It takes some work, and as a male writing a female, I won't say it's harder, but you have to be open to the different sensibilities that a female would bring to a situation than a male. A female's going to answer one way, a male's going to answer one way. So I do have the perspective of a male, being male, and I can tell you what a male would say. But I also can, because I've had very strong females in my life, I can tell you what a strong female would say. I don't know what a damsel in distress would say. Save me, oh please save me. But strong females do not react that way. In most cases, from what I've seen, strong females are more dangerous than males because a strong female operates from, if she's aware, a strong female operates from the point of view of I'm weaker than the male, I'm operating at a disadvantage, so I'm going to do everything in my power to even the playing field. Even if that means, cutting off your arm to make it so I have an advantage, things like that. It's not easy, but you have to be able to put yourself in a female's frame of mind. So, like when I tell my girls, like when I'm training them, the times that we train, I always tell them, you're always going to be weaker. You're always going to be at a disadvantage. If you're facing a male, the male's going to be stronger. So, what do you need to do to even the playing field? What do you need to do so that you could walk away from a situation where you may be at a disadvantage? And that's how it is. You have to operate from that point of view. Now, obviously, in the books, a lot of what evens the playing field is the abilities, the powers, but it still goes back to the temperament. The females, like I said, I don't write damsels in distress for that reason, because the female has to be strong enough to live in a male world and be on par with whatever she's facing. And in this case, Gus Prater opens the book facing an ogre on her own. So it's not like, she can't be, oh no, it's an ogre, I'm in trouble. It's gotta be like, I'm gonna kick ass. That's it. I write kick-ass females. I always have, I always will. It's difficult to write from a feminine perspective, Aaron says. Yeah, it is. You have to really put yourself in that frame. Yeah, you can't, Chris. If you've grown up with strong females in your life, it's really hard to write weak females. It would be inauthentic of me to write weak females. What is Don saying? Don says, I agree. My story has twin demons, male and female, so I have to ask sometimes. Yes. Yeah, because you have the inverse situation. Being female, you have to ask, how would the male react? What would the male say? You know? Yeah, no whining. I don't believe in whining, Audrey. That's me. No, no. I don't tolerate it in life. Like, don't whine. And, my girls don't really whine. But, yeah, no whining. Just state what you got to state and say, yeah. You could ask your daughter. Sometimes I'll ask Dolly. Not often, but I've asked you sometimes, right? Yeah, I'll ask Dolly. Yeah, especially when it comes to like Fate of the Dark Mages. I'll ask Dolly because I'm like so lost. But that's not just writing a female. That's writing female in romance. So yeah, and I have to say it that way, romance. Um, Yeah, I have a song my writer plays called Battle Raven. Says a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you read my stories and look at the females that are in my stories, there are no weak females in any of my stories. I don't write weak females. Don says sometimes I giggle and I say, "What would Monty say?" That's always fun. I'm discovering that of all the stories that I write, Monty and Simon for me happens to be the easiest in terms of getting the story out. Um, like I'll crank out 2,000 words, 3,000 words, and I'll be like, where did the time go? Whereas some stories, even though Dust Bader felt the same way, Dust Bader almost wrote itself. Dust Bader was just me kind of chasing after Moira. I'm like, slow down so I can get this story down, woman. What are you doing? That kind of thing, because it was just running so fast. And what I liked about Dust Bader was that it had an element that I'm trying to introduce into some of the stories. It had that very noir feel about the main character. Good morning, Jeanette. Really good morning, Jeanette. Like 3 o'clock in the morning for you, Jeanette. Thank you for making it, and I hope you're feeling much, much better since your last Kaffeeklatsch. And I'm trying to include that noir feel to the story, so when the character speaks, it feels noirish. I don't know. Writing noir is fun and interesting. It's not as easy as it first appears. And my hats off to like Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett, who wrote amazing noir stories back for their time. Females to be mentors to follow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the women. I have read many stories, many, many, many stories where the women are just weak characters. And I'm like, why would you write characters? It doesn't make any sense unless you need a foil of that sort, and then you're better off just not having that. But this is my opinion, obviously, right? But there's no point in having weak characters in the story because what happens is they don't have agency. One, the story falls flat eventually because the character, at some point, you discussed it with the guy, like, why is this character even here? What are they doing? What's the point? Just kill them off already. And if you get to that point with a character, despite the fact that it's polarizing, so yeah, some authors do that on purpose and make characters despicable that way. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't create a good story. It doesn't. I mean, I'd rather create a story that people hate because they're really bad and evil and trying to hurt the hero than because they're weak. You know? Oh, the covers are insane. That cover was a deranged. That's DDD, and I'm gonna tell you the backstory. But let me just get to what Mary Beth said, which is Moira's a great compatriot for Grey. Yes, she is. Moira actually makes a great foil for Grey, the Night Warden, because they're very similar in temperaments. You know, although Grey's even darker than Moira, he just kind of hides it better. But she makes a good foil for Grey. Like she could stand her own against Grey easily. Um, oh well, if your coughing fit woke you up, and I'm sorry that you're having a coughing fit, but thank you for popping in and saying hello. And hopefully you can take something for that coughing fit and calm down and get some more sleep because it's 3 something in the morning where you are in Aussie land, in Oz, as they say. Yeah, it's hard for me now, Chris, between Moira and Grey. I mean, they're both in their own rights. They're both great characters and interact with the world in amazing ways. Now, getting to the cover, the initial cover. Hold on, New York City theme song. There it goes. The initial cover, the initial monster. So if you look at the cover, there are layers, right? So you have the end in the back with the sword, with the Duskblade or sword, right? For the Nightingale. Right behind Moira, sometimes you can miss it, is the Nightmare, right? Is here, which is her shadow kind of thing. And there's the tagline on top. I rarely do the taglines. I think this may be the first time I've done a tagline, which is no matter how fast you run, you can't, no matter how fast you are, you can't outrun your shadow. So then there's the actual Nightmare, and then there's Moira in front. And it took a while to get that kind of, because in the beginning it was the first few versions were just too busy. It was just too much happening. It was like you're gonna lose all the elements because it's just too crowded. And so we had to change and make sure that the shadow, the Nightmare looked like a nightmare without any real details except it's like a shadow. And she had to look completely badass. And glowing eyes was, I think, a really great touch. There were a lot of components, more than a Mountain Storm, where I say, okay, have the guys like this use this color palette and they create something amazing. With this one, I have to kind of go step by step with the range, and they presented me different kind of monsters and different kind of shadows. Like, no, it has to be something amorphous and vague, you know, like it's a nightmare. So you really can't have details like that. And they pulled it off. I was like, wow, this looks incredible. So I don't know what they're gonna do for the next story, but the impression I get of Moira is like she's like a female Iker in a sense, like kind of her inception, except that she didn't originate in a story itself like Iker did, but she has that kind of feeling to me. She has a feel of like a female Iker in a way. Kia reminded me of Simon Peach's Bond, but with a dark twist. Yeah, it's really dark. It's a dark twist. He is kind of a cross between Izanagi, which is Grey's sword goddess. Like all she wants is to be bloodthirsty, but not really, and she has this hidden agenda. And Simon and Peaches, he's kind of a mix in there, and but he's really dark. And you know his thing is the glorious battle, which I won't spoil because people haven't read everything. But the glorious, he lives for fighting, you know. But he has his own kind of weird sense of humor, like you know, like he tells her, "Use the blade," and she's like, "I don't need to use the blade. I got this." Like, yeah, you should have used the blade. There's just things like that. It's this kind of tightrope that he walks, that Kira walks. Plus, he has to make sure that Myra stays alive because she's his host. And so if she dies, there's a problem. He doesn't have a host any longer. And so it's important that she stays alive. So he gives her what he can in terms of strength and ability and everything that she needs to do what she has to do to survive. Now, I can't get into other parts of that because not everyone has read the whole story, but those who have read it realize that there are threats that can even take out fear. You know? Yeah, it's a nightmare with a sense of humor, which is fun, and I'm going to develop that a little more because it's a fun side of an evil, not evil, but a dark character, a dark creation that's designed not to be humorous, but if we can add humor to that, it makes Moira's character, it makes the Duskblade a little bit more relatable. And the conversation that she has with Pierre is like, really? That's amazing. Yeah, Aaron. I closed off the Iker stories, but I left it open to see more of Iker. And I agree with you. Iker is a character we need to see more of. I really enjoy writing Iker. Iker is just so much fun. I just need more months in the year to, because they take time. These stories take time, and I can't. I could write a whole bunch of stories, but I have to really be very selective about what I'm prioritizing. You know, we have a production schedule, and I told Dolly a few days ago we need to do a production schedule for 25, right? And then I look at her, a realistic one this time. I put I'm looking at it right now, and there's stuff in there. There's a gray book. There's two John King books. I still haven't written the second one. I haven't finished it. Right. There was this Christmas story that I'm going to write for 2025. what is it? Well, I got Outcast done, but then there's another Patreon story that I haven't created yet. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I think I got 2 books out of that whole production schedule. I got Fate of Fury, Outcast. All the other stories there are in process. It's crazy. So there's a lot of stuff in the production schedule, but I have to really be streamlined. So if you saw the CWW, I got to plan the work and work the plan. That was this morning's CWW. I got to do that. So thank you, Jeanette. I thank you for the kind words. I try to write. At this point, I've written so much Monty Strong. I just want to be careful not to kind of make it stale. I want to make it interesting. Wow, Cindy from Alaska. Okay, so I'm sure you get this question all the time. How cold is it right there? How cold is it there right now? I mean, I can Google it, but it's not the same as you're living it. So where in Alaska are you? Are you in one of the main, I'm guessing you're one of the main cities. You're not out in the tundra somewhere with an internet connection and a generator. What city are you in Alaska? And how cold is it in Alaska? Oh, yeah. So I have to be realistic with the production schedule because I also have to include other things like life. So that's important. And now that the gout flares pretty much gone because I was able to train, my main concern was I couldn't bend my knees before because I couldn't, the gout was in my knee joints. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 105 years old, but I was moving and walking. And the pain of gout, it's been described. So in the order of pain, they've done this. They said childbirth and gout is right beneath it. And it's like, what the heck? How could this be? Let me tell you, there's a Japanese, I forgot the name, Surufu or something like that, for gout pain. It's translated as to wind pain. You know why? Because it's so painful that if the wind blows against the joint, you're in agony. That's how bad it is. All right, let's see. So we're having a heat wave, 39 degrees. If 39 degrees is a heat wave, that's bad, okay? Not too bad. King Salmon. Is that a place, King Salmon? Because I'm getting hungry with King Salmon. Where did Dust Vader come from? What was your inspiration for this character? Oh, we don't have enough time for that one, Rena. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll do the next MoB TV, which is on the 31st, the end of Jan. We'll do it on character inspirations. I like that. Can we write that down somewhere? Character inspirations for MoB, and I'll dedicate a whole chunk to where do characters come from, because there've been different schools of thought about where writers get their ideas from, and I'm in the school of no writer knows where they get their ideas from. They just come. And you just have to be open and receptive to the ideas. So I'll answer you briefly on this one. Dust Vader came from writing. I was writing Saints and Monks, and the idea came in, and then I had to pause Saints and Monks. It was just and Dust Vader just appeared. Dust Vader actually appeared pretty much fully formed, and she said, "You're gonna write me, and you're gonna write me now. Oh, and by the way, I have a nightmare. Let's do this. Let's go. Chop chop." And I can either say no, and I'm sure the idea will go to another writer somewhere in the ether, or I can say, okay, just let me get the idea down so I can continue this. And when I did that with Sepia Blue and Mountain Strong, I had to pause Sepia Blue, and I ended up writing Mountain Strong, and I'm still writing Mountain Strong. For Dust Vader, I had to pause Mountain Strong to get Dust Vader done because it was so insistent. The story was so insistent that it just kept harassing me. So I said, let me just write the story, because I was going to be a novella. Novellas for me are 30K. Dust Vader ended up being 44K. So it went hero, like way out, you know? So I hope that kind of answers your question, Rena, but it's Rena, right? Not Rena? Rena? I think it's Rena. But I can't give you a direct, like, Dust Vader came from this part and this story and this area of my brain. It doesn't work like that. The stories just come, and you just have to be open. Again, my opinion, my belief. But I think you just have to be open to the ideas that come to you. And writers are a very strange group anyway, because we can see a story where most people just see anything. We'll see a story. We'll make it a story. We'll turn it into a story. That's just the way our brains kind of operate. You know? Let's see. Aaron says you're just as prolific as Shane Silver was, so he needed to take a break. Yeah, Shane is a great writer, he's a great author, and I think he just pushed himself really hard um, during the Templeverse. So he was writing Templeverse and he was writing books offshooting with Cali, I believe. And then he just had to stop, took a break. Hopefully he returns because the stories were great. So he's a great author. I hope he comes back and hope he recuperates from whatever it is he needs to recuperate or whatever he took a step back from, and he can come back fresh with new ideas and really start jumping into his stories. I was there when Shane wrote Obsidian Sun. We've known each other since our first books. He was there when I wrote Tomb Yards and Butterflies. We've known each other since the beginning of our main series. So it'd be great for him to come back. 30 degrees. That's kind of warm for Alaska. You sure that's not negative 30 or 30 degrees like Celsius? I'm just saying. Jeanette says, yes, please don't burn out. Dolly won't let me burn out, and I have a fantastic team around me that won't let me burn out. All the mods and the other admins, you don't see it because it's behind the scenes, but they're very wary of how much I do, how often I do, how prolific I'm being, and they put up warning like, hey, you need to take a break, or hey, you're off for the next month, things like that. They really do look out for me and say, hey, slow down. It's great that you're writing a lot, but you gotta watch your brain, you gotta look out for yourself, you gotta take care of yourself so you can keep writing. So that I'm gonna try and make sure never to burn out. And plus I have Death Wish coffee. I can't burn out. Heather says, have a wicked trope to suggest for mine since I was training on Iron Fan Mountain, meditation on the waterfall. Yeah, they're not gonna do that. So I did the whole waterfall thing came up already, and like Master Yacht was like, "We don't have waterfalls. Deal with it." So yeah, migraines are next. I don't know what that means, Aaron, but I hope I don't get them. My sister has wicked migraines, and I hope I never get them. But yeah, migraines are not fun. Yeah, 39 as a heat wave is basically wherever Chris is right now. I think that's a great topic. So let's write it down somewhere, Chris, and let's bring it up for the next Kaffeeklatsch. So like, where do characters come from, or where do the ideas for characters come from? Yeah, see, it's just the ideas come from everywhere. Like Chris is saying, I had an idea for a story come to me while watching the news. Yeah, that's what happens. They come from everywhere. Let's see. Cindy's breaking it down for us. King Salmon is a fly in only village. So you gotta fly in. About 280 miles off from Anchorage, I'm familiar with. It's rural and really warm with 30s and 40s. That is really warm for Alaska. It's warm for New York. The bear went to bed about 3 weeks ago. Wow. So that's great. Okay. But it being only fly in means it's only fly out too, right? So talking about pain. Yes. So childbirth, gout pain, migraines. So there was a scale, but like gout pain was right beneath childbirth. So since I've never experienced childbirth, and I have experienced gout pain is brutal. I don't wish it on anyone. It's one of the worst pains you could ever experience. Trust me when I tell you that it's bad. It's really bad. Let's see. Dawn says anything makes my story makes a story. My father makes kids never saw grocery store, so my father and figure had 5 7 years. Oh my god, I can only imagine 5 of them. Yikes. That's a lot to handle. Yeah. And we're looking forward not to some 39. So ooh, I feel for you tonight. We have the last few days. I was telling Dolly the other day, like it was Wednesday. It was so cold when I went out to get the car for our school run that my face hurt. It's just that cold. I walked out and it was like getting punched in the face. Like, you've got to be kidding me with this cold. What is going on? Wow. So I'm guessing on those 4 flights in and out a week is where you get your supplies. I mean, or the stores get restocked and you can just go to the local store. Because if the store doesn't have it in King Salmon, the store doesn't have it and you have to wait for a flight, basically. Yeah. Yeah, gout. Listen, I don't recommend gout. You know how they say I wouldn't recommend it on my worst enemy. That's the only pain I would recommend because it would stop getting me cold. You wouldn't move. You would be stuck. Yeah, yeah. No, it's been brutal. I know it's been brutal in your neighborhood, Chris, but it was cold here. All right, let me get to the questions because, well, I don't trust me. I don't know where the time goes, but once we get started, time is accelerated. Yeah, that pain. Not even listen. I can tell you the gout pain. I would take Tylenol. You're supposed to take ibuprofen, but I'm not a big fan of NSAIDs. I would take the gout pain. I could feel the Tylenol. I would take 2 Tylenol, and it was like maximum strength. And I could feel when the Tylenol would kick in about 25, 30 minutes later, and all it would do is blunt the edge of the pain. It wouldn't even take the pain away. It would just blunt it so that I could hobble without agony. That's how bad it is. Like I needed morphine. That's what I needed. All right, questions. We've got Audrey keeping her streak alive because that's what Audrey does. All right, so first question is, what's the most unusual food you have ever tried, and would you eat it again? Oh, geez, that's a good one. I've eaten some strange food, not as much as Dolly. Dolly's like a connoisseur of food, but I've eaten kimchi, which is really good. That's a strange food. I've eaten octopus. Octopus is good. It's big in the Latin community. Um, have we ever eaten any strange food? Really? Not really, not really. I'm not that adventurous when it comes to food. Dolly, I think would try it. I'm not that. Like, but kimchi is like one of my favorite. It's one. In fact, we need to get kimchi. You have? Okay, so, like I know what's going on. See? So kimchi is one of my favorite foods in terms of odd foods. So yes, I would eat it again for sure. Kimchi, if you don't know, is what fermented cabbage. I believe it's fermented vegetables. Actually, it's supposed to be really good for gout. It's supposed to be really good for gout, so I should eat that. Yeah. All right, Dolly, if you can witness any historical event firsthand, which one would you choose? Declaration of Independence. The signing of it. Yeah. They wouldn't let you in the room. You're a woman. But, you know, that would be the great. Yeah, you have to dress up like a man, put on the white wig and the 3/4 pants. Yeah, definitely. Be in the background. There'd be a little problem about your skin tone, but you know. Let's see. Next question. What issues in a book that you are reading will make you put it in the do not finish box? That's a topic, Audrey, for a whole other. Wow. Okay, but a lot of you have already heard me say this. When the author puts a commercial, I've never seen this before until this one author. I'm not going to mention the name, but I was reading a book. Right, it was a fairly okay. It was pretty good. I was kind of into the story, and the author put a commercial in the book. That's the only way I can describe it because what he said was he made mention to an event in the story, right? And then he said, if you want to find out more, you need to read such and such story. In the story, in the book. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? This is a commercial. It's a commercial for the other book. That ended up did not finish. I was like, you got to be joking. I can understand if you want to, you put it at the end of the book, you say, if you enjoyed this story, please find, read these stories. But in the middle of the story, you're gonna say, and if you want to know more about this story, you need to, read such and such. I was like, really? I was like, I'm done, done. Aside from that, like I mentioned earlier, weak characters, but that's only because I know how the sausage is made now. I know how characters are written. I know how they should be written in my stories. I know how they should be written. And when I see a character not fully developed, or they're flat, or they're two-dimensional, it turns me off a bit. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't. Because it's not that I don't want to. I want to enjoy the story, but the character not being fully developed, it jars my brain because my brain is a writer brain. So I'm thinking, do this, you can write this, you can add this, you can make them in depth like this. You can add, so it's like once you know the sausage, how the sausage is made, it kind of ruins stories for you, but it also kind of makes them really interesting. So because when you find a good story, you're like, yes, see, this is how it's done. So those are the issues that would make me not finish. Then the usual ones, really bad editing or typos, like an extreme amount of typos, because I am not free from typos or editing issues sometimes. they creep in. Even though I can have 30 eyes, 40 eyes look at a manuscript, and some typo will creep in. That's normal. But when it gets to the point where it's like really, really like you didn't have anyone look at the story first, then that could be an issue too. So those are some of my issues. What else? Thematically, or I guess aesthetically, a bad cover makes me wary of the story because a bad cover means that the author didn't care to invest enough in the story itself. The cover says a lot about the story, right? Not all, because some there have been covers that were like, and the story was great, but the cover is a big deal, and the description. If the writing in the description of the story is subpar, that writing you expect that writing to be the author writing it, and if the writing there is kind of iffy, then the writing in the story itself is going to be kind of iffy. And then my usual, the first line, the first paragraph, the first page, and the first chapter. That's my usual vetting process. If I'm not hooked by after the first chapter, I'm done. So the story has to hook me. It can't just be. It has to be something interesting. I'm not saying it has to explode from the beginning, which is why I'm willing to go first line. Not so great, but it's still really interesting. Okay, first paragraph. Okay, first page. First chapter. After the first chapter, if you don't have me hooked into your story, I'm kind of done. So yeah. Next question, and then I'll get to the comments. Would you ever consider doing up maps? This is Wendy's question, by the way. Thank you, Audrey, for your fantastic questions. Wendy asks, would you ever consider doing up maps in New York City with an overlay of some sort, showing Haven and the Dive and so on, possibly both hard copy and digital? That's a great question. I don't know how I would do that hard copy. It would be hard because while these places exist in the story, the overlays would have to be, because they don't really exist, but they do exist as physical places within New York City. All the places that I've mentioned in any of my stories, you can look up the location that I've given you in the story, and it's a real place. Like in case of Haven, it's a real place. The Dive is a real location. Hybrid is a real location. Ezra's is really Katz's Deli, which is one of the ones that's most known. So they're all real locations. I always try to find real locations for the places in the story because it kind of adds that sense of realism. And then when we have our Destructo tour, our tour of destruction after with the Beaches Con, we can actually go throughout the city to all the places that have been destroyed or that have been mentioned in the story, which is awesome. I don't know if I ever considered doing that because at this point, 26 books in, there's a lot to kind of, it needs to be a lot of overlays or a lot of locations. We'd have pins all over the map for places like that. So maybe it's something to think about for sure. Maybe more digital than actual hard copy. Probably digital would be easy. Bye, Cindy. Take care. Thank you so much for dropping in from Alaska. It's awesome. All right, let's see. Let me read some of the comments. Thanks so much for the questions. Audrey and Wendy, you guys are fantastic. And the questions always give us a different dimension to the show and then really, really add to the show. So thank you so much for the questions. I really appreciate them. Okay, let me go to, let's see. Okay, yeah. So it was so cold Monday, Chris. I didn't get the mail. Yeah. And you had Galpin, so you know exactly what I'm going through or what I went through. And I've had other pain, broken. Yeah, I've broken things. I've broken fingers. I've broken toes. Because karate. I mean, we break things in karate. Still doesn't come. I went through a whole promotion. Let me see which hand is it. This hand. So if you look at my fist, I don't know if you can see it. One fist is completely level. I broke this fist during a promotion where I had to break boards, and the people holding the boards moved the board back. So as I was punching to break the boards, I ended up just hitting the boards because they moved it back reflexively, right? So I ended up breaking these two knuckles. They got shoved back. I still had to complete a 6-hour promotion with a broken hand. That did not compare to the pain of God. It's just on another level. Yeah, nothing compares. I don't want kidney stones ever. I've heard that pain is. Yeah, kidney stones is in that list of childbirth, gout, kidney stones, migraines, all. But yeah, no, thank you. Sid really needs to give us our own clutch timer. I think so. I agree, Jeanette. Really, I'm on board with that. Cindy left, but she gave us a list of things that have Amazon, Walmart, lots of online shopping. Milk is $18 a gallon. Oh my God. Gas is $7. Wow. You want to get some milk and salmon? $18 a gallon? Wow, that's a lot. What is it here? Like 4, 5? 4 here. I wouldn't be drinking milk and salmon. Joe says he's had Cobra in Thailand. Well, you guys let me know how that tasted. Probably like chicken. Kimchi and octopus. Kimchi and octopus, both really good for you. Prepared well, both are really good. Aaron says good kimchi is hard to come by. In New York, it's not that hard. You have a lot of Korean places that have excellent kimchi. Does Monty eat anything else besides leaves and cookies? I'll have to expand his diet, but he is a vegetarian, so he doesn't eat meat. Yeah. That breaks the flow. Seems out of context. I can't, but I'm sure it's something to what we were discussing. Ballsy moved in. Oh yeah, it breaks the flow. Yes, it breaks the flow of a story where you're supposed to suspend disbelief. It breaks the flow, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? What is this? What? It's like when you're watching a movie. Like, how would I describe it? Yes, one of my pet peeves is I have YouTube, right? I pay for the premium channel because I hate ads. But it's like if you're in the middle of a show and an ad comes into the like at the best part, and there's an ad, and you're like, huh? It completely breaks your immersion. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. So yeah, no, pass. I think I started that book, but I wouldn't be surprised. Chris says, I'm not finding it hard when watching a TV show with my wife to not comment about what's going to happen next. Yes, or they should have said this. Yeah, it happens. Like, you just kind of like, you, because you know how the sausage is made. That's all I can say. You know where the story is going. You pick up all the clues and you kind of see, oh, this is what they're doing. Okay, I see where it's going. And yes, it kind of does ruin it for you a bit. It does. Jeanette says, as one of those eyes, I can agree about typo thinking. Yes, it doesn't matter how many people read a manuscript first, somewhere, somehow, a typo sneaks in. It's crazy. Where did you find your cover artist? My cover artist came recommended to me by Shane Silvers, The Range Doctor Design. He recommended them to me. I had another cover artist prior to The Range, so you should try them. I did, and I'm still with them. I have another cover artist, which is Gene Malika, also very good. He's a boutique cover artist. And boutique, if you think boutique means expensive, you're right. Let's see, M&S scavenger hunt. That would be so great. We can put things in all the places. Although some of those places in New York City we wouldn't be able to get into because like the hybrid we couldn't get into. It's an exclusive club. So yeah. Are we going to open up the Mount fan? Yeah, we should open up to anyone who wants to write a fan fiction story. It's like, yeah, I think make it available to those who wanna write, you know. My right wrist is like that, doesn't rotate to the left. Yeah. I mean I have remnants of my karate training all over my body. So yeah. That's just the way it's the wear and tear of your body. The open nipples on. I have no idea what that means. Shouldn't that? Oh yeah, what the heck? $18 for a gallon of milk? Those must be special cows to have an $18 a gallon. Wow. Mary Beth, thank you so much for being here with us. Have a great weekend. And thank you for your comments. Fantastic. Jeanette says, yep, I've got YouTube Premium for the same reason. YouTube ads are annoying enough, but the mid-roll. Dolly hears it when I see, because she doesn't have the premium, I have the premium, and she shows me something, and I'm saying, is this an ad? What is this? Why am I watching an ad? Let's just watch it on my channel. Because I am allergic to ads. Yeah. I think just within the mob for the time being, Chris. Yeah. I mean, we want to open up to the mob first to see if all the aspiring writers, which I don't like the word aspiring, all the writers that are there. Joe, thanks so much for popping in, doing work. Have a great day on what's left of your day of work. And thank you for coming by and saying hello and hanging out with us. Yeah, Wendy, Chris will give you the details because I'm involved. I am involved. It's just that Chris will give you the details. I think it's a great idea that we should have a fanfic page because there's a lot of people who want to write fanfic. So yeah, but it's just within the mob. Dolly, what character? There's a large that's a large clue to pick from. What's the context, Don? They're asking what character do you like? What's the context? What's your favorite character? Yeah, I'm guessing from the book. Yeah, Don, you're gonna narrow it down. Is it from the books I've written, from the creative world that exists? Yeah, Michigo. Who likes Michigo? Michigo's badass. Looks like her. That's why. Any of my stories, yeah, Michigo. It'll be a page given out memory survey fan fiction about what if. Yeah, it's like a. If you've ever read Marvel, those was a group of comic books. There were these comics that were called What If stories, and it was basically taking the characters from Marvel, from the Marvel universe, but writing different stories with those same characters. Like what if? And so the actual comic was called What If, and you'd have all these kind of amazing stories. And they recently brought it back in Disney Plus as a show. What if? And they would take the characters. They did two seasons, and take the characters and put them in different situations. Like, what if Peter Parker didn't get bitten by a spider, but it was Gwen who got bitten by a spider? You know, kind of thing like that. So this is basically kind of the same premise. Like, what if Monty was evil? Then you write a story like Monty being evil. Diane says, "I love your books. I'm into following you up." Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you for the kind words. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad you're here. And you have a lot to follow. You have a lot to catch up on because this Orlando guy just keeps writing. He doesn't stop. Amazing. All right, we're almost done. So if you have any questions, yeah, it's a what if playground. You can it's a sandbox. You're invited to play in the sandbox. Um, are there any questions that someone may have that they would like to ask that weren't added to the post? Because this would be the time to ask it because we're almost done, and I'd love to just be able to answer it for you. You have me here. It's the best time to ask the question because I'm right here. I can answer it. If you were reading the book and then you wondered, I wonder if now you can ask that question if you remember it. Because sometimes in the moment you have the question and then later on you lose the question. So this is a very singular experience and opportunity because as a person who grew up reading books, I wish I had the opportunity to ask Tolkien or Heinlein or Frank Herbert, which I just watched Dune recently. Oh my god, it was good, but it was so slow. Like, and there's two of them. Like, oh my god. So yeah. But I like Javier Bardem, so he's really good. Audrey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the question. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and have a fantastic weekend, Audrey. Take care. Jeanette says, as someone who practices fan fiction, I enjoy seeing someone's interpretations of the situation. Yeah, it's always fun to see it. And so creating a space for it, I think is good. Although I will say, if you're a writer, you should be writing your stories, not just fan fiction. But there are a lot of authors who kind of use fan fiction as what do I call it? Like what do you call that thing when people have a heart attack when you restart them? Yeah, they use fan fiction as a defibrillator to jumpstart their stories. So, you know, it's like clear, I have a story I gotta write, but I'm gonna kind of get it out writing about a character world that I know of. I'm gonna use that to jumpstart my stories. And then they write their own stories. You should always aspire, I guess we're gonna aspire, to write your stories, not just fan fiction. And for a lot of people, fan fiction gets those creative juices flowing. You're welcome. No doom. But yeah, I'm always available. And even if you have a question, you can always PM me or put it in the mob and I'll ask it. I'll ask it. I'll answer it. Yeah, you can use it as a springboard. You use fan fiction as like training wheels because it's a very set made world that allows you to play in it, and then you can from there you go off to your own world and you do it. You know. And I think that's great. If we can provide that for authors, kind of like a safe space, a sandbox they can play in, then it's a good thing because from there they can leave that sandbox and go out into the broader world writing. Yeah, it's fine. Fanfic, it's all okay. It all works. All right, guys, we are done. Wow, we really need to have a conversation with Sid about this. The time is just going way too fast. I want to thank you all for being here. You guys are amazing. I want to mention our CWW episodes. Please don't forget to go check them out, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. They're a lot of fun. Mostly they're for me. When I create them, they're mostly for me. They're not really for anyone else, but they're kind of for me, kind of a self-reminder of tenets that I should be living by. And I just happen to share them with everyone else. So don't feel so obligated, but just visit and comment if you feel like you need to share something, or if it touches you, or if it's something you experienced, then yes, please share. It's a good thing, and it helps. You'd be surprised how many people get help from just watching those videos. I've had a lot of people tell me, "Thank you. I watch it every morning. I wait for it," and so that's always encouraging. Yeah, Mercedes Lackey started that way, and the Dark Over to there are a lot of authors who started that way because that's almost training. And in the beginning, I want to say every author emulates another author. No one is really an original author until later. So as you get better and better and you polish your craft and you really start working at it, if you're serious about it, you start working at it, you get away from whatever it is we're using as fanfic, and your own ideas start coming to your forefront, and you start incorporating those. That's what happens. That's a natural evolution for many authors started that. Many well-known, very famous authors started that. So we all stand on the shoulders of giants. That's what I have to say. That's my belief as an author. We stand on the shoulders of giants. It's always been that way. I think it will always be that way. So get into your fanfic, do your fanfic, but don't forget that there's a purpose to the fanfic. It's not just fanfic. It's using a fanfic to get to where you need to get to, which is writing your own original stories. And the fanfic is just holding your hand as you go, and then after a while, it's like when you're learning how to ride a bike, and your dad or your mom is holding the back of the bike, and then one day you realize no one's holding the back of the bike, but you're still riding your bike. It's like that. Those hands are the fanfic, but after a while, the hands have to let go, and you keep riding your bike. Awesome, So don't get caught in the sandbox, and don't stay in the sandbox, but use it and then grow past it. All right, so okay, before we go, we still have 13 people. 1 to 7, first 10 people. So we have 13, so that's good. 1 to 7. Let's go, so we can go out on our theme song, on one of our theme songs. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, characters will yell at you. That's good. Yeah. Now you just gotta listen to the yelling and discern what is yelling and what is story, because sometimes they yell, but at some point the yelling becomes write this or write that, or this is It's coming, Dawn, and don't forget to keep asking me. Dawn, keep asking me those questions. It's a great question, and I read them all and I try to answer them all. So don't neglect. Don't feel bad. Ask the question when your team gets together, when your group gets together. Ask questions. No question is off limits. Just ask. Let's see. We got 7, 3, 3, 6, 4, 3. So far, it's 3 threes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 more people. Let's go. If not, I'm gonna go with 3 because. Okay, I guess. Thank you. Oh, yeah, it's definitely 3. Okay. All right, I'm gonna take off my creative warrior scary face and put up Peach's adorable face. So I want to wish you all a fantastic weekend. Here we go. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for making the show amazing. Can't do without you. So it's fantastic that you're here, and you come every 2 weeks and we hang out and we have our hour and a half to just hang out, talk, share. The 3 Bs: be kind, be unstoppable, be uncommon. Right? So take those with you. And our next MoB Kaffeeklatsch is the 31st. It's the last day of Jan. So fantastic. Thank you. Thank you all for being here, guys. Have a great weekend. And number 3 it is. Here we go. Let's see what number 3 is. There you go. Live. Starting up soon. StreamYard's acting funky today. Yeah. Have a great weekend.